All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Wednesday, January 6th, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Welcome on back here for our afternoon meeting. I just did a quick sound check for all of us inside the live trading room. I should be good to go across the board. And for all of us on social media, that being Facebook Live and YouTube, welcome on back. So without further ado, let's just hop right into it here. The markets ended up making a very strong push up, really within the first couple of minutes. So what you see here is the Dow Industrial chart ended up essentially breaking a higher high within the first 5 minutes, took off from there very nicely. So really strong move throughout the day up until just now. I know the FOMC minutes meeting just ended, so a whole lot coming out of that, but nonetheless, not too big of a pullback, if anything, heading into the afternoon. Maybe just profit taking, perhaps. On the screen right now, otherwise outside the Dow, you happen to have U1, Urban One. We followed this stock. I don't know how many months ago. At this point, probably 3-4 months ago. Yeah, back in June. So more than 3-4 months ago at this point, right? So it's interesting how time flies. But nonetheless, U1, we followed the stock back from June, and it exploded at the time from like $5 all the way up towards just over 50. And that is a real number, folks. That is not some inflated reverse split number. That was real. We ended up seeing the stock day over day, really across a series of days here, ended up just exploding, and then just one morning moved up that much higher and popped all the way up towards over 50. So these types of stocks, though, unfortunately, well, they dump back down. It's not too unfortunate, if you're not in it, but for those that aren't really too experienced with this type of trade, you always have to ask the question, when's it going to pull back down? When's it going to come back down? The more it goes up, the more that you ask that question. So leaving money on the table is always a good problem to have in a case like this. Chuck just mentioned before in the chat board that he didn't want to chase. He said not chasing this one, rightfully so. But heading into the afternoon so far, and Chuck made the initial call out on this trade. He missed it from there, but there was another entry on this trade. It was right off 6. It was holding underneath the whole number here, kind of poking underneath 6 for a bit. And thankfully, to where you might expect a false breakout initially, this just popped right over 6 and ran beautifully here. So yeah, at this point, needless to be said, but I put this right on our main list heading into the afternoon. If I can find out where I put my pen, that would actually be a good help. Right here. All right, so not only did we trade U1 back in June, there were a few other companies affiliated with U1 that moved up at the time, if I'm not mistaken. These are all low float stocks too, but CARV, CARV, Cone, probably even more low float, like nothing happening there. So at least for right now, it looks like it's just U1. This one definitely looks the most active. I would not look to trade the other ones just yet, if at all. So yeah, for the meantime, we'll come back to this probably at the end just to check it out, but still definitely on our list for the meantime. All right, folks, what we will do really just hop right into it, because the ISR we traded, the NCTY we traded all throughout the day today. I know Fausto was calling out the CHNG for a moment there. We have GHSI, of course, with Bitcoin moving up higher and higher. I will show my Bitcoin chart later on. We'll talk about Riot and Mara. But without further ado, let's just start right from the top. So this ISR trade, I know Fausto gave his thoughts on this earlier in the morning, rightfully so. We had this on our morning watch list. Ended up just making a bit of a squeeze early on. Like as soon as the market opens, got halted on the way up, got halted on the way down. And well, when it gets halted on the way down, that's usually the end of the run. So I stayed away from this after. That was it. It was more of a pre-market trade, if anything. Ended up making a big push from the after hours, but here going into 8 o'clock, ended up dipping off where you thought it might pull back and tank. Ended up making a nice under and over from roughly 150, and that was your move into the open. But after that, just flat dead. So see what else is out there. The NCTY had mentioned that we were kind of trading this, calling it out all throughout the day today, throughout the late morning, especially the early afternoon here. So heading into the close, I'll put this on our main list, just still kind of near the highs, making a lower high here and pulling back, kind of in this consolidated state here for right now. A bit of a wider spread and thinner orders on the book here. There is one order at 1470. Actually, a pretty big support started to get chipped away at just before here. Yep, and just broke. All right. That was a pretty big order, though. That was like 25,000 shares at one point I just saw. So I'm actually going to draw a line right here at 1470. You would imagine for there to be major levels of 50-cent levels and whole numbers like 15, 1450, 14, etc. But you know what? This might act as like an interim or minor level, so to say. So I'd still watch 15 ahead here as your major target, major level of resistance. All right, U1 here, definitely at this point on our list. We spoke about that. Let me expand the price column here. I'll just kind of skim through the AIKI. That's right. This one from yesterday, we ended up following, ended up making a bit of a dud move and then exploded early on in pre-market. So let me zoom out on the chart here very quickly. I don't think at this point we'll put it on our list, but ended up making a nice run from 8 o'clock, consolidated, held strong into the open. So even after the open, it ended up making a nice move and dipped back down towards that support 120, 125-ish, or 135-ish rather, 130 to 135, and then took off. So this state now, not much going on. NMTR. I saw Rich and Mario call this one out inside our trading room. Ended up making a nice breakout going into the late morning off 140. Same deal though. At this point, just kind of washed up. Not much happening now. This WBAI, a lot going on, but not really much of what I'm looking for heading into the close. Ran up nicely, popped up, and then just pulled back. This ended up making a very similar move. You know what? I'll jump to it now. Probably would have found it on the gainers list at some point. The ACB trade right here. It's like the exact same move. I was trading this on the way up from around 1070-ish, chipping away, like taking some shares out underneath 11. I held on to another like 250 shares left. It popped over 11. I thought it was going to run. Well, when it comes right back down under 11 again, it's going to happen. So I got out at 1099 on my remaining shares. I think this may have been one of my better trades across the whole day. Kind of a messy chart, but it was a good entry. And at this point right now, there was actually some more news coming out with the pot stocks, the pot sector. I think Governor Cuomo is estimating just the revenues coming across New York State if they ended up passing the legalization of marijuana. So that explains the big spike up heading into, I think it was actually right here, 1240-ish when that news came out. So obviously hasn't had much of an effect since. Squeezed up nicely. I thought it was going to run up. I was in this trade just a little bit off 11. I only took a few cents. It came back down pretty nastily. And same thing happened, just like from this morning. At this point now, just driving down lower. I'd probably say the same thing with Tilray, CGC, all the other pot stocks here. Yeah, especially now. Let's take a look at the pot sector MJ, the ETF. Moving up nicely throughout the early morning, and it kind of died off and broke higher heading into the afternoon. So things were looking good, but at this point now, not much. All right, so we'll continue to go from top to bottom here, folks. I want to check out a few other trades in the meantime, just kind of skim through. CLSK, a fairly new crypto stock, so to say. They've been dipping their feet within the Bitcoin, industry, the business, crypto mining business. So, we ended up seeing them make a huge pop this morning once again with Riot, with Mara, with, everything else pretty much. Ended up being one of the better trades, ran up all the way up towards the high of basically 3750. Well, at this point now, it's really coming down hard. You know what? I'm going to put this on our list, for the volatility. I don't know if we could short it, but nonetheless, for as much as this stock drove up, when's it going to pull back or when's it going to bounce? So I would imagine that could potentially be off of, it's kind of a ways away, but 31. That seems like a pretty strong level based off the pre-market resistance here early on. And aside from that, we'll take a look maybe here off the buying that came in around 9:52 Eastern time. Let's see if I can readjust here quick. There we go. Yeah, it's pretty much when it broke over 32. That explains the big spike when it broke over 32. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw a line at 32 here, and I think that could be a really big support level heading into the afternoon. Just don't try and catch the falling knife, folks. We talk about this inside our Traders Talk workshop in the room. We talk about this inside class. There's a certain way of trying to find support and catch it. Last thing you want to do is kick your feet back and assume. All right, so you know what? We'll do it now because CleanSpark is now kind of a Bitcoin, so to say, stock. Let's get Mara up here. We'll get Riot up here. So, Mara and Riot are kind of moving with the Dow right now, shaking off after 2 p.m. Eastern here, but both ended up making a big push after the market opened up. So what I'll do now, let me quickly just draw back my trading platform here for all of us in social media. Show off my Butler Bulldog background. There you go. And then aside from that, let's get Bitcoin up. I'm going to do the crypto minute here. So, at least heading into today, we ended up seeing Bitcoin continue to soar. I know Fausto spoke about that, of course, as well today. Let me go back. Yeah, 1 hour chart here. So more so heading into last night, early this morning, Bitcoin continued to push up, break a new all-time high. Well, since it kind of fell off a bit, pulled back, right, and now heading into the last few hours has moved up pretty nicely. So, probably be more of an after hours move again, like we saw yesterday, to where we'll see Bitcoin move up nicely, maybe Riot, maybe Mara. Yeah, go from there. All right. So at least for right now, not as like keen to put Mara on our main list if we can't short it. Riot here, at least, though. I mean, this is dropping off nicely. It is shortable, so there is still an opportunity to trade Riot, I believe. And if Bitcoin pushes right back up, and if Mara and Riot, find support, then both are in play. All right, CBAT from earlier today, kind of dumping off right now. Not much there. And there's a lot to go through on the gainer side here, at least, right? So we're going to continue to scroll down. Pretty much a lot of these are familiar names to a degree. SPWR ended up making a big move today. We called that out frequently. Pretty much for the same reason that I'll put, for the same reason that I put Clean Spark on, I'll put this on. Where is it going to bounce off support? This looks like a really good support level, if not 29, then maybe even the consolidation here, like 28.65-ish. That's something to think about. If not today, then it'll be a useful level tomorrow, I'd imagine. All right, U.S. Steel X. Look at this, my baby, pushing right over 20 again here. It's been a while since that's happened. So U.S. Steel, this was actually one of my favorite stocks for so long, really, probably before Trump got elected even. And I bring that up because once Trump got elected in 2016, the infrastructure stocks ended up taking off. Steel. So we ended up seeing X like explode at that time, but we've been following this for years on and off, since 2014, really. So, for what it's worth, nice run up today, ended up making a big move. You could pretty much put this on our list too for the same reason. At this stage though, right? Like if you have so many of these that look the same, you don't want to put all of them on. So, you know what, for right now, I'll kind of keep this on the side. I'll go down the losers list here in a moment. If there's nothing else looking good, then we'll slip X on. Run RUN. Oof, this one took off today. CENX, just spotty chart there. All right, let's hop over to the losers list, folks. Oh, actually, really quick. Should have looked. Norman picked up 10 cents on DGLY. I was trying to look for it on the gainer side. Right from the corner of my eye, I caught it. So, yeah, DGLY, nice push. I don't know what the news is, but another one that we've followed frequently since June. I mean, really, for a long while, we have our history with this stock, Digital Ally. They make the body cams for police. So I don't know what the news is out today, but we ended up seeing them make a nice, nice, actually, a little pop, a cute little move yesterday. Didn't do a whole lot, and now we're getting the much bigger run up today. The news out, let's see. Oh, yeah, I guess that explains it. We are not a politics trading room, folks, or just a trading room. But the news out is that the protesters storming the Capitol building right now. So I actually saw that before on Benzinga Pro, but now I'm putting two and two together. That makes sense as to why DGLY is moving up. So yeah, for right now, DGLY easily going to put this on our main list. We are not a politics room, folks. Please, there are plenty of other rooms that you can chirp about politics. All right. So let's see what else there is on the losers list for right now, though. We're here to make some money. Hey, DGLY is a great stock to try and make some money on. This is not. IMRA, this does not look like a good stock to make money on. Just supremely flat. All right, I'm going to skip over a bunch of these on the losers list. Hard to borrow. Really impossible to borrow. CLSD, pretty flat. Same thing, although we can short it. I mean, I'd imagine for there not to be a whole lot on the losers list when the markets were breaking higher today. All right, folks, if there's anything else that you see up, down, left, right, more than 10%, certainly type it in the chat boards. Let me know. From Michael D, he's pointing out a stock that a lot of us are familiar with. PLTR, close to the low of the day. Yeah, I don't know what happened here, Mike. Maybe news downgrade, but yeah, it looks pretty interesting. For the meantime, I'll slip this on here too. I don't have too big of a list here for right now, so actually I might as well put X on our list while we're at it. All right, cool. Yeah, X is still in play. It's not, obviously moving up at this point, but still very active, tight spread, trading a lot of volume per minute. So, if it doesn't make a big move this afternoon in the final 30 minutes, I'm certainly still going to follow this tomorrow morning. It'll be on my side list. All right. All right, folks, I think that just about does it. I'm getting good at cutting these meetings short on time. Not to say short, but I felt like I was going very far over. So I think we're just about done here, folks. In total, we have 2, 4, 6, 7 stocks to work with. And aside from that, probably in the next 10 or so minutes, we'll look to rescan the market, 10 to 15 minutes, around 3 p.m. Eastern time. From Michael M., he is now saying ACB is now tanking. Yeah. It's what we would expect at this point, right? It failed to really hold over 11, and it's just continuing to sharply drop. The thing is, I'm not going to keep going here, but we ended up trading ACB a few months back, and there was some big news at the time. Well, not even news; it was with the election, right? So it was with the election with Biden, and then the next morning it popped up. But what was the end result here? Out of nowhere, this just completely dumped off, broke much lower. It was a mess. It's kind of reminding me of that here today. Doesn't surprise me there, Michael. All right. Yep, Leo, exactly. We were talking about that just before, so this will be my last comment to where I will say that we are not a politics room. If you want to talk about politics, then we will look to send you forward to another room. All right. So aside from that, we will look to make some call outs on some stocks. We will look to happily make some money together heading into the afternoon, right? How about that? All right. So for all of us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube, come join us. Feel free to join us every day here, Monday to Friday, live in the Cyber Trading Room. And for all of us inside the trading room right now, give me a quick 5 or 10 minute break, actually a bit longer. I'm going to jump onto a coaching call myself. I believe Rich will be back on the mic very shortly. I'll jump on at 3:30, taking us into the final minutes of the afternoon. All right, folks, talk to you soon. Take care.